Ken put out a pretty lengthy article about his notes from the GM meetings, and he'll join us tomorrow. But I think the one that stands out the most, which also makes this week worse for Brewers fans, is that they potentially could be in sell mode. From Ken, those sources briefed on the Brewers' discussions but not authorized to discuss them publicly say the team is open to moving virtually any player on its roster. Now, they already started. They traded Mark Canha. He's a pretty good player. He's worth that contract for 1 year, in my mind. Corbin Burns has 1 year left. Arbitration probably about $15 million. Obviously, Woodruff's hurt. We don't know when he's going to come back. About $12 million for arbitration for him, potentially. Devin Williams is a free agent after 2025. And Willy Adames is a free agent after this season. You want to go really crazy, Christian Yelich has 5 years, $130 million left on his contract.
No one's picking that up.
I don't think he wants to go anywhere.
No one's picking that.
He had a good year.
He had a good year, but still nobody's going to pick that one up.
Okay. Anyway,
I don't believe.
What's happening here? Man on the scene, our Brewers expert, Eric Kratz. What do you think is going to happen this offseason? Yep, it's you. We call on you. Do you think this team is going to tear it down? Because the one thing I will say, and I respect them for this, the Brewers don't really believe in full-on rebuilds. Their owner, Mark Attanasio, has talked about that, and I like that. I mean, it sucks to do the full-on tank mode. The only thing is they're looking at the market and saying it's definitely full of teams that need starters, and they're realizing what Texas just did and that they need more in terms of starting pitching and starting pitching depth. Not everybody's going to get, Yamamoto, Nola, etc. And on the offensive side, with someone like Adames, for example, it's a bad free agent market in terms of position players. There's just not much there. So a few dudes at the top and then gets really thin. So there's a market inefficiency. It's a great word in the front office world for all the dudes that have stomach issues right now. But what do you think happens?
Well, I think market inefficiencies revolve really around Willy Adames. To me, what other shortstops are available? Somebody that can play shortstop every single day. Whether you think his value is high or not, 30 home run bat at shortstop is rare, and a bunch of teams just went through the whole shortstop cavalcade that went into, I think it was last year and the previous year's free agency, and I think it'll revolve around him. The Brewers can move Bryce Terang, who should have been a Gold Glove candidate at second. They could move him to short, and if they are able to get a huge return, again, I don't know if they can, but I think if they can get a huge return, then I think they would move somebody like Burns. Then I think they would lock up a Woodruff for, let's say, a 2-year deal in the $25 million range with a club option. I mean, not 2 years for 25. The full contract, $25 million, since he's going to be hurt most of the year. Then he can come back and then possibly a club option type of thing. And then you take those pieces and you essentially play for 2025. Not a complete rebuild, but they're never going to be an all-in team. They're just going to be a perpetual build team and never go all the way down, but also never go all the way to the peak. So to me, I think it hinges around Willy Adames because you can always trade Burns. But if you trade Burns, now you still have Adames hanging out and you don't have it's like, okay, well, am I getting value out of him? Shortstop position, home runs, 30 pumps, 25 pumps from the shortstop position. To me, it's an underrated value. I know it's talked about a lot, but his value in a trade market, I think, could be really huge after people figure out where Chapman goes because he's a defensive first type of position player.
Do you have a teaser in your mouth right now?
Oh, yeah. It's a teaser day, kid.
Yeah, I like it. Sam.
Peppermint.
I don't do drugs, kid, till Sunday.
Are you serious?
I'm jacked. Teaser.
Do I have to educate you right now?
I know what teas is. I've tried a teaser. They're very delicious.
No nicotine, no tobacco.
I know. They're very delicious.
And the flavors are awesome.
Well, that's why I asked, because I could tell a little bit. Yeah. Corbin Burns, by the way, if Corbin Burns put his name out there, a huge haul.
I don't know if Willy Adames would get that big of a haul. He's got 1 more year left, and he had a down year for him this past year. Listen, Woody, Big Woo, he's hurt. Shoulders are never good. Shoulders are one of those that you're like, is he ever going to come back? I know a lot of guys had shoulders, never came back.
He's young though.
Still, John Danks was young. He had shoulder surgery. He couldn't even throw a ball from here to me to you after he had shoulder surgery. It wasn't the same. Listen, now Williams, they trade him. Devin Williams, they could get something for him. They got some bullpen pieces they could probably trade. But gosh, listen, they could trade William Contreras and probably get something too. I don't know. I feel like the Brewers are in one of those weird spots. They're kind of in between now, especially after losing Counsell. Yelich, listen, I love Christian Yelich not only as a player but as a guy. I just don't think a team's going to be willing to take on 130. So that's what, $26 million a year for Christian Yelich. He's had some down years. He had a better year this year, Kratz. It's just a weird spot they're in because I don't think deep down they ever thought Counsell would leave. I know the reports are saying, they thought this was possible, but yeah, I just don't think that they ever thought he would truly leave. He'd always just be there. So losing him was the start of the dominoes. And then my boy Corbin Burns, who's obviously my favorite player since I have his card every day. I mean, he's got to be next. If you don't want to do a full rebuild, you trade Corbin Burns, get some major league talent back, and start for 24 and 25.
But this is why I'm saying Adames, because both of them are going to be gone after 24. So if Adames doesn't get you value, which when teams are looking at Adames' value, yes, they could be buying low, but you just said nobody's going to take Yelly because he just had, he had a couple down years and now he had an up year. So then it would be, they should trade him. But Adames had a down year, so they won't get as much value. To me, his value is in the fact that he plays a premium position. And he had 24 pumps this year, 24 homers. He's clearly unlocked his home run ability since he's gone to Milwaukee with 20 in Milwaukee. That year he ended up having 25, 5 with the Rays, 31, 24. Look, he's never going to be this on-base monster, but his batting average was the lowest this year. To me, your batting average gets better, especially as athletic shortstops. It will get better the older you get because you learn to hit. So he had a down year, yes. But to me, if they can kick off a trade with a team who is looking to upgrade offense, everybody at the trade deadline last year, there was no offense available, and they have it in Willy Adames. They have somebody who can fill in, learn the position, and is a solid above-average defender in Bryce Terang, and then you can kick off, you know what? We're going to keep Devin Williams because he'll be our closer for 2025. He can hit free agency. And then they have always done a good job of filling in pieces, getting pieces here and there to sustain you for the season. And that's not even saying that the season's going to be a wash in 24, but that's only if the Cubs don't go all in. If the Cubs go all in, I think then the Central is theirs. And if the Cardinals get 3 starting pitchers, but anyway, that's where I think it lies. Because if you just get rid of Burns, it feels like, okay, well, what are we getting for Burns? Are we getting
a lot?
But okay, but what are you getting? A big league starting pitcher?
What other teams do shouldn't dictate what you do. So whatever the Cubs do, that shouldn't dictate what the Brewers do.
No. That was more on. I'm saying that their chances in the Central.
They're probably not going to win the Central this year.
And I feel like
honestly,
plus
Freddie Peralta is another guy they might want to think about. I know he's signed through 26 with club options and 25 and 26. They're cheap club options. They could probably get something pretty good for him too. The thing is though, it's just what does Matt Odom want to do? First, he's got to find a manager.
They also just won the division.
I know, but you can't. You already lost Woodruff for the year.
Woodruff was out half of last year.
Yeah,
they won the division.
They essentially have their whole team
NL
coming
Central
back.
is not good compared to most of the rest of the divisions in baseball. Agree?
Agreed.
It's
the AL Central.
Yeah, AL Central is in another world. But is the NL Central not probably the second worst division? Do we have faith
depending on what the Cubs do.
Sure.
And usually we count on the Cardinals being halfway decent. This year they were awful.
Right, and they're going to get better. I would think they're going to be better next year. I think the Cubs are going to be probably a little bit better, assuming that they do some things in the offseason. Pirates, probably about the same.
Pirates are always about the same.
Yeah.
Feels like.
About the same. It's a nice
Pirates
ballpark.
they're gonna slowly matriculate to about third place in the division, and
then come back down.
And then they'll be like, oh, well, these two people that we were hoping were going to be superstars aren't.
Reds should be better, though.
Reds I love. I think they're going to be good if they pick up a couple pitchers.